Welcome to Explicit Gamers Xbox Live Indie Gems. You may remember that we started this video series with the idea of playing and reviewing every XNA game that hit the market. Oh, how naive we were. There's only so many copycat dual-stick shooters and tower defense games the reviewer can play until he's driven a little baddie. So we changed the name and reviewed the gems to bring you our new show, Xbox Live Indie Gems. First up on this episode's lineup is Your Doodles Are Bugged. It costs 80 Microsoft points and is well worth the price of admission. The point of this game is to guide these cute little critters from one location in the level, or doodle, to the honeypot located elsewhere in the level. You have to use a pin to create paths, gaps, and walls to guide the little lemming-like creatures to their destination. The premise is simple enough, but if you think this game is all easy peasy, then you might want to think again. Although the first handful of levels can be completed with ease, you are soon given other obstacles, such as limited ink or not letting your bugs touch certain sections of the level, but I have to confess, you can sort of cheat the limited ink condition by going back and erasing half of the line that you just drew to refill your pen. The music and sound of the game fit very well. It is one of those games that seems to take full advantage of the surround sound by actually having the tweaks and chirps of the bugs come from behind you. The music is very well done, but there's one song that will strongly remind you of the Tetris theme. One of the frustrations with the game is that the AI can be a little inconsistent from bug to bug. While they all act the same way, they seemingly have random times that they jump, move, or turn, causing one bug to execute a path that you've laid out perfectly for him, while the other bug manages to perfectly jump between the cracks to his death. The bugs also seem to have collisions with each other, causing them to jump on each other's heads and escape whenever you've gone through a lot of trouble to corral them together. The visual presentation may be a tad childish, but given the subject matter, it might seem a bit odd if it were not presented like a coloring book. Whether the concept is a slave to the art or the other way around, it works regardless. In keeping with the light-hearted presentation, I can't help but think this game would do slightly better if it had a more appealing name. But then again, it gets points for not taking itself too seriously. It's really nice to play a puzzle-type game that gives your brain a light jog rather than a very tiring and grueling marathon. Next up is Gerbil Physics 2 for 80 Microsoft points. The game is about knocking down a stack of blocks represented by gerbils. You must use the tools provided to get all the blocks, or gerbils, under a visible yellow line on the screen. The first thing you'll notice is that this title surpasses its predecessor in nearly every way. The visuals are better, the audio quality has been stepped up, and the gameplay is more addictive and satisfying than ever. One of the nicest additions is that you're given a multitude of tools from the very start. This gives the player more options to solve the puzzle in his own way. And with a game like this, player freedom is a tricky thing to achieve without making the game too easy. But Gerbil Physics 2 managed to strike a perfect balance. I especially like the little meter at the end of each level that lets you know how you scored. Yeah, I know, I'm easily amused. The music is also well done, but then again it always is when Kevin MacLeod is involved. But the game is not perfect by any means. Sometimes the blocks are linked together without visibly being so. When dealing with blocks that are chained together, you can sometimes get some fairly odd results, but for me the biggest flaw is that some levels, while visually nice, make it difficult to decipher what has collision and what doesn't. For instance, I looked at this level for a solid minute trying to figure out how to start before I realized that the walls didn't have collision. But don't let these complaints deter you from at least trying the trial game. If you've been looking for a Boom Blocks-like 2D experience, you may want to give Gerbil Physics 2 a try. With 40 levels and weighing in at just $1, you're definitely getting your money's worth. Last on our list for this episode is Pipa for 80 Microsoft points. Although it's not the deepest gaming experience you'll have on XNA, it is fun. And the whole point of these things we call video games is to have fun, right? Now, when I say Pipa is like the hacking portions of BioShock, I really should remove the word like. This game is the hacking portion of BioShock, or the NES game Pipe Dreams if you can remember that far back. But that being the case, I have to applaud the game a little for picking something simple and then executing it well. It's nice to have a game that I can play and not have to think about much. I'm not sure how strongly I could recommend the game though. Although fun, it is not much in the way of audio. There's absolutely no music, and the lack of global leaderboards means you'll have to simply guess if you're as awesome at the game as you think you are. But perhaps the biggest thing the game has working against it is that playing the trial is kind of like playing the entire game, without having to spend the Microsoft point. We purchased the game here at Explicit Gamer, if nothing else than just to support the developer. But it's going to be hard to convince people to pony up the points whenever you can usually get in at least one full game on the trial timer. So there you have it. That does it for this week's episode of Xbox Live Indie Gems. Make sure you join us next episode for more XNA games that are worth two shits. If you agree, disagree, have any kind of comments, please feel free to leave it in the comments below, or you can go ahead and give me an email at daniel.robert.campbell@gmail.com. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good week.